All right, so this is just practice of everything from Unit 4A thus far. So sketching each angle, making sure you draw in the direction, and then converting from radians to degrees and vice versa, and then some triangle practice, and then finally unit circle problems. Okay, so let's get started with sketching this angle right here. So I want you to sketch negative 13 pi over 12. So first thing people say are, wait, what? How do I even know where that is? Think about this actual number, okay? Don't let the pi influence you right away. So you have negative 13 pi over 12. So negative 13 over 12 is an improper fraction. Let's turn it into a mixed number. That's negative 1 and 1/12. Don't forget the pi now. Okay, so this is like going negative pi and then negative 1/12 of a pi, or pi over 12 more. Okay, so think of it that way. So here is your x and y axis. I'm going to be starting at my positive x-axis always, so I just like to put a dot there, but if you want to put an initial side, you can. All right, so I need to go negative pi. Remember, negative angles are in a clockwise direction this way. This would be negative pi. But then I have to go negative pi over 12 more, which is less than pi over 6. So I know I'm only going to go a little bit more. And there is my angle. All right, next one, 395. 395 is more than 360 degrees. So I'm going to go one full rotation. Now I just want to see how much more. 35 degrees more. So I'm going to go full rotation and 35 degrees more. If I'm going 35 degrees more, I'm in the first quadrant. So now I can draw my angle. Make sure you're showing direction on it. I'm going to start on my positive x-axis. I'm going to go counterclockwise. That's 360 degrees. But then I'm not going to go until I hit that terminal side. All right, next one, just like the first one, I can say, okay, 9 pi over 4. 9/4 is 2 1/4. So I have 2 1/4 pi. So 2 pi and then pi over 4 more. So I'm going to draw my x and my y axis. My initial side starts at my positive x-axis. I'm going to go full 2 pi. There's 2 pi. But then I need to go pi over 4 more. Pi over 4 is in my first quadrant, so right there. Last but not least, negative 135. So I'll start in my positive x-axis. I'm going in a negative direction. This is negative 90. This is negative 180, so that's too much. So I want to go less than that. There is negative 135. All right, now we're going to convert the following radians to degrees. So if you look here, we have pi in the answer. I would like to get pi out of my answer, so I'm going to divide by pi. That means I'm multiplying by 180. So the pi's will cancel because pi divided by pi is 1. And then remember, you want to make the number smaller before you make it. So divide by 10 first. Or is either 3 or 180 divisible by 10? Yes, 180 is. It goes in there 18 times. Now I can just do negative 3 times 18. Or 3 times negative 18. So I'll multiply those. 8 times 3 is 24. Carry the 2. That's 54. And it's negative, remember. So my answer is negative 54 degrees. All right, B, same idea. I need to get pi out of my answer, so I'm going to divide by pi. It means I'm multiplying by 180. Pi's cancel. 3 goes into itself once. 3 goes into 180, 60 times. 7 times 6 is 42, and then I have to multiply that by 10 because it's 60, so 420 degrees. Next one here, I'm going to divide by pi to get rid of that pi. That means I'm multiplying by 180. The pi's cancel. 4 goes into itself once. 4 goes into 180 45 times. 45 times 9. 9 times 5 is 45. Carry the 4. 9 times 4 is 36 plus 4 is 40. So 405 degrees. Notice knowing that 4 goes into 180 45 times is not something that I had to think hard about because I've seen it so many times. All right, last one. I need to divide by pi. Multiply by 180. Pi's cancel. 5 goes into itself once. 5 goes into 180, and if you're like, oh, I don't know how many times. Well, how many times does 10 go into it? Okay, 10 goes into it 18 times, but we divided it by 10 instead of 5, so now I need to multiply my answer by 2, so that's 36. Negative 36 degrees. Once again, that's just one way to use mental math. If you're doing it a different way and getting the same answer, that's fine, as long as it's not using a calculator. All right, next, convert the following degrees to radians. So now I need to convert to radians. So pi is not in the answer. I need to get pi in the answer. That means I'm going to divide by 180. So I need to simplify this. 10 goes into both of them, so I'm going to cross off the zeros. And then I say, okay, does anything go into -5 and into 18? The answer is no. So my answer is -5 pi over 18. All right, next one, I need to get it into radians, so I'm going to multiply by pi, therefore I'm dividing by 180 degrees. Both divisible by 10. Now I have 11 over 18. Does anything go into 11 and 18? No. So 11 pi over 18. Next one, -200. I'm going to multiply by pi, divide by 180. 10 goes into both. Does anything go into 20 and into 18? Yes, 2 does. 2 goes into -20, -10 times. 2 goes into 18 9 times. So this is -10 pi over 9. All right, last one. Multiply by pi, divide by 180. Now I need the biggest number that goes into both, but if I can't think of the biggest number, I just need a number that goes into both. Okay, and then just keep going until it's down to nothing else goes into it. So let's say I don't realize that 15 goes into both. Let's say I think that the biggest number is 5. So I can say 5 goes in here 15 times. 5 goes in here 36 times. And then I can say, oh, those are still divisible by 3. 3 goes in here 5 times. 3 goes in here 1, 2 times, 12 times. So that is 5 pi over 12. Okay. All right, next one. Find the exact value of each trigonometric function and simplify. So the only one I didn't ask you for is tangent. That's because it gave you tangent. So I need to know what quadrant I'm drawing this triangle in first. Okay, I need to know what quadrant I'm drawing this triangle in first. So I'm going to use this information first to narrow it down to 2 quadrants. So it says tangent is -12, not pi, -12/5. So tangent's negative. So now I'm going to use all students take calculus. All students take calculus and say, all right, which 2 quadrants is tangent negative in? So it's positive here and everything's positive here. So right now I'm down to these 2. Now I say, okay, what's my other clue? It says sign is greater than 0. So sign is positive. So out of the 2 that are left, where is sign positive? In this quadrant. So my triangle is in my second quadrant. So I'm going to start off by drawing that. All right, now remember I put a point inside that quadrant. I connect it to the origin. Then I connect that point with a vertical line to the x-axis. Make a right angle. All right, theta is created by the x-axis and my terminal side. So there's theta. Now I'm going to look to see what I was given. I was given tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now one of them is negative. I don't know which one's negative yet, but it's not both because it's not -12 over -5 because that's positive 12/5. So one of them is negative. I'm going to just label them 12 and 5 first, and then whichever one's left or down, that's going to be my -1. So opposite is 12, adjacent is 5, and is the 12 or the 5 the -1? The 5 is because it's to the left. Now I need my third side so I can get my remaining trig functions. You can realize that this is a Pythagorean triple, so we know our third side already. It's 13. Or if you did not realize that, you can use Pythagorean theorem. -5 squared plus 12 squared equals r squared. 25 plus 144 equals r squared. 169 is r squared. Square root. R is 13. Okay, so if you don't have this work for a Pythagorean triple, I know that you have it memorized. That's fine. Okay, now we can go ahead and answer all of these. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent's 12. Hypotenuse is 13. I could also do its reciprocal, which is secant, 13/12. Sine is opposite over, oh, I accidentally did, my bad. I was doing sine. All right, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent, Adjacent is -5. Hypotenuse is 13. I accidentally did cosine. But when I went to go do sine, or I accidentally did sine. When I went to go do sine, I was like, oh, nope, that's sine. So that's -5/13. The reciprocal, -13/5. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so 12/13. And then its reciprocal is cosecant, 13/12. Last but not least, cotangent's reciprocal of tangent. Tangent's right here, so it's just -5/12. Okay? All right, last but not least, we have some unit circle practice. So let's go ahead and do each one of these. Notice it says exact values, so no calculator. All right, so 120, that's what I look at first. 120 is not in my first quadrant, so it's not one that I have memorized for my first quadrant. So I say, okay, what quadrant is it in? 120 is in my second quadrant. How far is it away from the x-axis, or what is the reference angle? 60 degrees. What's the ordered pair for 60 degrees? 1/2 √3/2. But this is left and up, so that's the ordered pair. Sine is the y value, so my answer is √3/2. Next one, cosine of 150. Once again, not in the first quadrant, but I know it's in the second quadrant. How far is it away from the x-axis? 30 degrees, so it's a 30-degree reference angle. √3/2 to the left, 1/2. Cosine is the x value, so -√3/2 is my answer. Next one, cosine of 210. 210 is in my third quadrant. How far is it away from the x-axis? Remember, this is 180. If this is 210, it's 30 degrees away. So 30-degree reference angle, √3/2, 1/2. This time it's left and down, so negative. Cosine is my x value, so that is -√3/2. Okay, the very next one. Tangent of 225. Tangents I have memorized. Okay, remember tangent of 30 is √3/3. Tangent of 45 is 1. Tangent of 60 is √3. So if I want tangent of 225, I just have to know what's the reference angle and what quadrant it's in. So 225 is in my third quadrant. Okay, it is a 45-degree reference angle. So now I know that I'm looking towards 1 here. Now I just have to decide if it's positive or negative. All students take calculus. Is tangent positive or negative in that quadrant? It's positive, so my answer is 1. Let's try another tangent. Same idea. 3π/4. Pi/4 is a 45-degree reference angle, so I know it's going to be 1 or -1. So now I need to know what quadrant 3π/4 is. Remember, your pi/4 go your odds, so they're 1, 3, 5, 7. So 3π/4 is in my second quadrant. All students take calculus. Is tangent positive in this quadrant? No. So that means it's negative. Next one, sine of 300 degrees. 300 degrees is in my fourth quadrant. How far is it from my x-axis? 60 degrees. So that is the ordered pair, 1/2 √3/2. Write 1/2 down √3/2. Sine is my y value, so -√3/2. Next one, we have secant of pi/6. So first thing I say is secant. I don't have secants memorized. What's its reciprocal? Cosine. So I'm going to pretend it says cosine. Do I have cosine of pi/6 memorized? I do. I do have my pi/6 angles memorized. It's my 30-degree angle in my first quadrant. 30 degrees is √3/2, 1/2. So I know that the cosine is the x value, but I want the secant, which is the reciprocal. So I need the reciprocal of that, which is 2/√3. And then we have to rationalize by multiplying by √3/√3. And we get 2√3/3. Okay, next one. Cosecant of 3π/4. So once again, cosecant I'm not familiar with. I don't have that memorized, I should say. So I'm going to say sine of 3π/4. 3π/4 is a 45-degree reference angle because it's pi/4. I just need to know what quadrant it is in. Remember, their odds, 1, 3, 5, 7. So it's in this quadrant, 45-degree reference angle, which is √2/2, √2/2. The This is left, so that's negative. Up, so the y is positive. Sine is root 2 over 2, but I want cosecant, which is the reciprocal. So I'm going to do 2 over root 2. Rationalize by multiplying by root 2 over root 2. I get 2 root 2 over 2, but that's simplifiable because 2 over 2 is 1. So my answer is root 2. Next one, cotangent. I don't have cotangents memorized, so I'm going to pretend it says tangent. And I say, ooh, tangents, I have tangents memorized. 210 degrees is in my third quadrant. It's 30 degrees away from my x-axis. And then remember, tangents I have memorized. What's the tangent of 30 degrees? Root 3 over 3. And I just say, okay, well, I need to know, is it positive or negative? All students take calculus. Tangent's positive in that quadrant. So tangent is root 3 over 3, but I want cotangent. So I have to do the reciprocal. That's 3 over root 3, which you could have memorized, rationalizes to root 3, because root 3 and 3 over root 3 are reciprocals. But if you don't, you could always do the math, and you're going to get 3 root 3 over 3. 3's cancel. Cosine of 240 degrees is in my third quadrant. It's 60 away from my x-axis. That's the ordered pair 1/2, root 3 over 2. Left and down. Cosine is my x value, so negative 1/2. Secant I don't have memorized, and pretend it says cosine. And then I say, okay, I need to know where 3 pi over 2 is. What quadrant is it in? And I say, oh, it's over 2. It's not in a quadrant, it is a quadrantal. So where is 3 pi over 2? 3 pi over 2 is down here. It is the ordered pair over 0 down 1. All right, so now I can say, okay, cosine is my x value, but I don't want cosine, I want secant, the reciprocal. So I need the reciprocal of 0. The reciprocal of 0, 0 is 0 over 1. The reciprocal is 1 over 0. Can I divide by 0? No. So this is undefined. All right, next is L. This one is sine of pi. So I need to know where pi is. Which quadrant is it in? Once again, not in a quadrant, it's a quadrantal. Pi is right here. This is left 1, up 0. Sine is my y value, so the sine is 0. Next, we have 7 pi over 6. Pi over 6 angles go 1, 5, 7, 11. 1, 5, 7, 11. So this is in my third quadrant. Pi over 6 is a 30-degree reference angle, so root 3 over 2, 1/2. This is left and down. Sine is my y value, so it is negative 1/2. Cosecant 11 pi over 6. Pi over 6 is 1, 5, 7, 11. 11 pi over 6 is in this quadrant. 30-degree reference angle. Root 3 over 2, 1/2. This is right and down, so x is positive, y is negative. This was cosecant. I don't have cosecant memorized, so I'm going to pretend it says sine. Sine is my y value, but I want cosecant, which is the reciprocal, so I do need to flip that. Negative 1/2 reciprocal is negative 2. All right, tangent of pi over 2. So tangents I say I have memorized, and I go, okay, is it a 30, 45, or 60 reference angle? It's pi over 2, so I actually don't have it memorized. So I just say, okay, I need to know where pi over 2 is. Pi over 2 is a quadrantal. It's right here. That's the ordered pair 0, 1. So now I need to find tangent. So what you have to remember is that tangents we have memorized, but tangent is y over x, or sine over cosine, right? Y over x. So I have to take the y value and put it over the x value. Okay, so let's do that. The y value, 1, divided by the x value, 0. 1 divided by 0, undefined. All right, next, cotangent of 7 pi over 6. I'm going to pretend it says tangent and say I have tangents memorized. Tangent of pi over 6 is root 3 over 3. Okay, but I need to know what quadrant is this in. So I say, okay, what quadrant is 7 pi over 6? 1, 5, 7, 11. So it's in this quadrant. Okay. Is tangent positive or negative there? All students take calculus. It's positive. So tangent of 7 pi over 6 is root 3 over 3. But I don't want tangent. I want cotangent. So I need the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of root 3 over 3? Hopefully you don't have to do it again. It's root 3. Next is tangent of pi. Tangents I have memorized. And then I say, wait a minute, pi is a quadrantal, so I don't have it memorized. This is left 1, up 0. So since this is a tangent that I don't have memorized, I have to know tangent is sine over cosine, or y over x. Y is 0, x is negative 1. So I have 0 divided by negative 1. 0 divided by negative 1 is 0. Last but not least, I have secant of 45. I don't have secant memorized. I'm going to pretend it says cosine. Do I know the cosine of 45? Have it memorized. It's root 2 over 2. But I don't want the cosine. I want the secant. The secant is the reciprocal, so I have to take the reciprocal of that. That's 2 over root 2. Rationalize, and if you have it memorized, that's great. It is root 2.